In the dead of night, seasoned assassin Jason Renshaw arrives at the toy factory where his next target awaits. He parks outside to conduct some initial surveillance. Inside, renowned toy maker Hans Morris inspects the latest batch of toys in his workshop. He checks everything meticulously, leaving a special limited edition box, a charming fairy music box with a soothing melody, for last. Enchanted by the fairy, Hans takes it with him, locking up the workshop behind him. He then heads to his office, accessible only with a special keycard. There he gazes at a framed photo of his mother, adorned with her affectionate signature and a playful drawing. As Jason spots Hans in his office, he prepares for the job. He covers his shoes, dons gloves, and attaches his silencer to his gun. To conceal his identity, he puts on a mask and hat. Meanwhile, the security guard, alerted by a strange noise, leaves his office to investigate a phone at the entrance, which bears a message about an imminent bomb. As the countdown begins, the guard panics, uses his keycard to unlock the door, and grabs the phone, intending to discard it. Jason, however, surprises him with a tranquilizer dart, swiftly rendering him unconscious. He then deactivates the phone and takes the guard's keys, hiding the body and the dart before proceeding. Jason enters the building and disables the security cameras with the stolen key, noticing another guard approaching. He tranquilizes this guard as well, subdues him on the ground until the sedative takes effect, and then hides his body. Moving upstairs, Jason uses the guard's keycard to access the CEO's office. Hans, upon seeing Jason, barely has time to react before being shot multiple times. Jason checks Hans' pulse to confirm his death, observing that the photo frame with his mother's picture broke upon impact and noticing the peculiar signature. He also takes the music box, listening to its tune before leaving. Moments later, on a plane home, Jason texts his employer using a burner phone, instructing them to verify Hans' death in the news and arrange the payment. When a fellow passenger asks for gum, Jason opens his bag and is momentarily unsettled by the now eerie-looking fairy. The passenger, puzzled by his reaction, is given the gum with a normal smile. Upon arriving at the airport, Jason sees on the news that Hans' death is public knowledge and that the police are aware of a hitman's involvement. Jason takes the escalator and becomes increasingly unsettled by a baby toy held by a young girl. His discomfort is so intense that he has to turn away. When he finally returns to his apartment building, he notices another toy at the front desk, which is also from Hans' brand. Once inside his apartment, Jason spots the toy duck he had left in his pool. Its presence makes him uneasy, so he decides to leave it out on the balcony. After a shower, Jason retrieves the fairy music box from his bag and places it in a glass cabinet where he keeps mementos of his kills. He then checks his computer and confirms that his payment has been transferred. There's also a new job offer in London, but Jason opts to take a nap first. He wakes up to the sound of the doorbell and finds the receptionist has left a package at his door. The package lacks a sender's name, but Jason recognizes the small face that resembles the one on Hans' mother's photo. Using a knife, he carefully opens the package, wary of potential traps. To his surprise, the package contains a box of toy soldiers complete with weapons and vehicles, all branded from Hans' factory. A sticker announces a bonus surprise. Jason cautiously opens the box slightly and uses a flashlight to ensure it's not a bomb. He fully opens the box and confirms it's just toys. Despite this, he remains suspicious of the familiar face on the wrapping and examines his soldier closely, but finds nothing unusual. As he sets the toy aside and heads to the bar for a soda, Jason hears a noise and notices the toy box has fallen off the counter. His anxiety spikes again as he inspects the counter for any hidden threats but finds nothing. He returns to the toy box and is shocked to discover it is now empty. At that moment, the curtains rattle, prompting Jason to check behind them, but there's nothing there. Suddenly, a lamp turns off by itself. When Jason investigates, he finds the plug has been cut. He then notices another light in the kitchen going out. As he approaches the kitchen, he feels a sharp pain in his foot and discovers it was caused by a toy army weapon. Crouching to look under the furniture, Jason is suddenly attacked by a barrage of tiny bullets. Jason swiftly moves to find cover, touching the small wounds and confirming that while the bullets are tiny, they still cause pain. As he tries to assess the situation, the firing resumes and a small missile hits him on the leg, causing a burn severe enough to singe his pants and flesh. He rolls on the floor, seeking refuge behind his step, but the fire continues, pushing him to retreat to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Jason examines his injuries in the large mirror, then grabs a smaller mirror and peeks out the door. The fire rages on, destroying lights and electronics, with a missile hitting a lamp and emitting a small blaze. As the bullets cease, Jason is finally detected. Another missile strikes, shattering the mirror and causing more cuts on his skin. He quickly shuts the door, removes the glass shards, and notes additional injuries. Since the bathroom connects to his bedroom, Jason grabs a hidden gun from his nightstand. Emerging from the bathroom, he starts firing at the enemy, who is concealed under the couch. Despite sustaining further injuries, he manages to evade the incoming missiles. Jason dashes across the apartment to the bar, takes a swig of alcohol straight from the bottle, and retrieves another concealed weapon. He resumes firing, approaching the couch and moving other furniture aside. When the enemy stops firing, Jason removes the cushions from the couch and shoots at it while screaming. Once his ammunition is depleted, he retrieves his previous gun and violently overturns the couch, revealing his adversary, the toy soldiers from the box. Several toy soldiers are now dead, but the remaining ones regroup and start gathering vehicles and weapons. Jason steps on 2 of them, but the others open fire again, forcing him to respond with more shots. Meanwhile, a few soldiers manage to board helicopters, which then take off and start launching missiles. Jason ducks just in time, but the missiles begin to wreck his bar with small but intense explosions. The helicopters then fly close to Jason, their rotors cutting into him and causing him to drop his gun. He quickly retrieves it and shoots one of the helicopters down, but this action allows the others to start firing missiles at him again. With no other option, Jason retreats to the bathroom. Once inside, he locks the door and examines himself in the mirror, horrified by the extent of his bleeding. He washes and disinfects his wounds with shaky hands, grimacing in pain, and drinks some water to steady himself before carefully bandaging his hand. A missile then makes a hole in the bathroom door, and a toy helicopter flies in. Thinking quickly, Jason uses a towel to capture it and then stomps on it furiously. Another helicopter enters and fires a missile, but Jason manages to grab his gun and shoot it out of the bathroom. He checks to ensure no more helicopters are outside the door, then retrieves the towel, tossing the broken toys into the toilet and flushing them. He uses the towel to cover the hole in the door. Hearing noises from the toilet, Jason flushes it again, but the rattling persists. He strikes the lid in frustration, then throws a hairdryer into the toilet. The resulting short circuit eliminates the toy soldiers but also knocks out the bathroom lights. With no clear solution, Jason sits down and waits. He finds a needle and thread and uses them to stitch up a cut on his leg. After drinking more water, he notices a can of bug spray that had fallen from the cabinet and pockets it as a potential weapon. Just then, he sees something moving by the door and prepares to shoot, only to find a piece of paper being pushed under it. After the soldiers leave, Jason retrieves the paper and reads the word "surrender." He writes an insult on it and sends it back. Moving the towel to peek outside, he sees the soldiers firing a cannon. Jason narrowly escapes as the cannonball creates an even larger hole in the door, which continues to be destroyed by relentless cannon fire until barely any wood remains. He has no option but to climb out the window, finding himself precariously perched on a narrow ledge above the city. Carefully, Jason makes his way along the ledge and hides behind a wall just before a helicopter comes into view, avoiding detection. As he continues moving slowly toward another window, the helicopter spots him and shoots him in the face once before running out of bullets. Despite the injury, Jason manages to shoot back using his last bullet to ignite the helicopter, causing it to crash. With the pain in his ear worsening, Jason clings to a pipe as he moves around the building but ends up falling, fortunately landing on his balcony. From his hiding spot behind the grill, Jason observes the soldiers regrouping and preparing a new plan with their remaining cannon. He spots a toy duck, a lighter, and an extinguisher. He places the duck in the pool, drawing the soldiers' attention and leaving the door unguarded for him to slip back inside. Jason surprises the soldiers by using the extinguisher on them, but a second team arrives from behind, opening fire and destroying one of his mementos in the cabinet. Struggling with the lighter, Jason eventually ignites it and combines it with the bug spray to create a makeshift flamethrower. He uses it to incinerate the soldiers, sending a toy truck crashing into the furniture. Jason's satisfaction is short-lived though, as he continues to burn the remaining soldiers. After causing significant damage, he grabs a knife and cuts the soldiers into pieces, even stabbing one to watch it squirm in pain. The remaining soldiers in the foam shoot down the duck as the extinguisher runs out. Jason strikes them with their own box, thinking he has finally defeated them. He examines the broken toys but finds nothing extraordinary. After counting them and checking the box numbers to ensure no one escaped, he disposes of them in the garbage disposal, turning it on to grind them into dust. Jason tends to his wounds and relaxes in the pool, but hears a noise and feels a sharp pain in his arm. He gets out, checks the water, but sees nothing unusual. With a deep cut on his wrist, he wraps it in a towel and hides in his bedroom. He struggles to stitch the wound with shaking hands, ultimately settling for a bandage and getting dressed before venturing out. Keeping vigilant, he grabs the magnet with emergency numbers from his fridge and moves cautiously backward to exit the apartment without surprise. In the elevator, he hears movement on the roof, which escalates as something enters the elevator mechanism. Suddenly, a shot causes an explosion, plunging the elevator into darkness and halting its movement. A hatch opens and a larger, more powerful soldier jumps in. Jason tries to fend off the soldier with his flashlight, but it moves too quickly, cutting his legs and adding a deep gash to his arm. He covers the wound with his belt to prevent bleeding out. The soldier growls menacingly before climbing back out through the hatch. Jason hears 2 explosions above and in desperation jumps to the hatch, climbing out to find himself stuck between floors. Another explosion erupts near his feet and he sees the soldier preparing to strike from above. Jason spots a second elevator arriving and jumps onto it to escape. As the elevator descends, he lands painfully inside and presses a button, thinking he's safe. However, the soldier has followed him by hiding on his shoe and starts attacking again. Jason fights it off, and as the elevator reaches the reception, he collapses. The soldier approaches to finish him off, only to discover that Jason was pretending. Jason grabs the toy soldier and pushes it toward the closing elevator doors. The toy, unable to prevent the doors from closing, is crushed to death. Jason then notices a beeping noise coming from the toy's body and discovers a bomb. He laughs in defeat before the bomb detonates, causing a massive explosion that sends flames through the tunnel. Back in the apartment, the sticker on the toy box peels off, revealing Han's mother's bonus surprise: a commando and a thermonuclear weapon. Meanwhile, the fairy music box in the cabinet continues to play its song.